Then how angry are Democrats at Leader Schumer?
I've never seen this level of volcanic anger at a Democrat ever.
Ever.
Wow.
Well, Christmas came early if you're a Republican because the government didn't shut down, and nearly every single Democrat is extremely upset with Chuck Schumer. So in this video, we will go over the most recent CNN meltdowns revolving around everyone being upset with Chuck Schumer. However, before we start the video, please like the video. It's the #1 way you can help this channel, and it helps others see the video as well. Let us begin.
Is it time for new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Have you lost confidence in him, the fact that you guys see this so differently?
Next question.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party.
Now, we will get to AOC later because she may have actually benefited the most from Schumer getting all of this hate. We'll get to that later in the video.
We could be grumpy, we can be frustrated with each other. There is a volcanic eruption of outrage at Leader Schumer because we want a Mitch McConnell. I remember when Obama had all the cards, Mitch McConnell drove Obama nuts, twisted his pinky, broke his kneecaps, and got stuff done for Republicans when they shouldn't have gotten an inch. They got miles. We have a Senate majority leader who is beloved in this party, but we want somebody who's going to stand up to this bully. Stand up to this bully. Do something. And if you shut the government down and it gets a little bit crazy, at least some politics is about the rationality. There's an emotional need to stop Donald Trump and Elon Musk from running over this party.
Now, one thing you need to understand to give you some context, Democrats completely thought that everyone was on board. We are not going to vote for this continuous resolution, and Democrats were already putting the blame on Republicans.
But the leader is absolutely correct, and I hate the headlines that keep saying the Democrats may shut the government down. This isn't up to the Democrats, right? We're not the ones that are going to shut the government down. The question is if we will do everything to keep the government open. But right now, they have a Trump trifecta. So when and if the government shuts down, it is going to be on Trump and his minions. It is not going to be on us.
So as you can see, the narrative has completely flipped because you can't put all the blame on the Republicans considering, hey, your leader voted with us, so what's the problem here?
And by an unelected South African billionaire donor to Donald Trump.
What does that have to do with South Africa? What does South Africa have to do with anything?
Anyway, because that's where he's from, and he doesn't believe in our democracy.
Well,
so that's a
American
problem. So you're so worried about illegal immigrants taking jobs. Well, there you got immigrants
well,
taking
who is you?
jobs
I
right
haven't
now.
said anything
but
about
anyway,
illegal
the
immigrants.
government is being shut down right now as we speak with all
the
of our
government is not being shut down.
Oh, no?
No,
ask the Department of Education.
Is being shut down. That's what she's saying.
Well, ask the Department of Education folks who just got half of them fired. Ask the IRS folks who got fired. Ask the people in OPM who got fired. Ask the people in the Department
That's
of
not the
Defense
same as shutting the government down, which is what you seem as if you wanted the government to do. You want the government to shut down because many people, you wanted the government to shut down, and I'm happy that the government isn't shutting down.
Tara, please stop for
Let
just a
them
second.
explain.
Because I said it like 3 times already. We can't all talk at the same time.
Okay, so that clip was rather wild, but I wanted to point out that is the dilemma right now with Democrats, is that you saw her say the government is shutting down, but the government is not shutting down. But then if the government did shut down, then the government shuts down. So no matter what, Democrats have a massive issue, which is why I think Chuck Schumer really had no choice but to not shut the government down, because Democrats are already being called hypocrites for wanting to shut the government down, even though they're supposed to be helping government employees.
Congresswoman, only a few moments ago on Truth Social, President Trump praised Senator Schumer for having the, quote, guts to do the right thing, calling his support of the spending bill a smart move. How will that sit, you think, with House Democrats?
Well, again, I don't think we should be moving in any way to elicit a praise from Donald Trump, who has no respect for Congress and the power of the purse, who is by the hour rolling out proposals and executive actions that are lawless and that are callous. We do not want to be praised by Donald Trump. This is a hostile government takeover. He is a dictator. And what do you meet a dictator with? Defiance. The Democrats can't only be the adults in the room. We have to be the fighters, too. And that is the message that we are hearing every day from our constituents and what they want to see from us in this moment. We have to be exhaustive and leveraging every tool available in their defense.
Now, speaking of adults in the room, I think we should actually see the reasoning as to why Chuck Schumer wanted to keep the government open. And by the way, I have a video showcasing how a bunch of Democrats, to include the last one you just saw, have always said we need to keep the government open, otherwise it's going to hurt the American people. But let's first get to Chuck Schumer, because let's see who the adult in the room is.
I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down. There is nobody in the world, nobody, who wants to shut the government down more than Donald Trump and more than Elon Musk. We should not give it to them. And make no mistake, Democrats will continue to fight what Donald Trump is doing. Everything that Trump, Musk, and Republicans have done so far has a clear goal. Again, cutting taxes for billionaires, eviscerate Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. This is the fight that matters most, and the fight we must focus on. All the chaos we have seen, all the lawlessness, all the grift and corrupt behavior. It's all about rigging the system in favor of the ultra-wealthy at the expense of working Americans. This is the fight the American people need to see. This is the fight that Democrats will win. A shutdown will be a costly distraction.
Now, Chuck Schumer has been in politics long enough to know that Donald Trump may or may not have had a little trick up his sleeve, because this whole time the White House had a video prepared of all of these Democrats literally saying a government shutdown is the worst thing that could ever happen. Border agents will lose their money. You know, people won't get paid. This is terrible. All of these Democrats. I cannot play you guys the video because for some reason they put background music, and you know how that goes on YouTube and other platforms. But anyway, I mean, a lot of prominent Democrats who've always said we cannot do this. So again, I really think Chuck Schumer felt like he was pinned into a corner, and he knew no matter what he was going to look bad because all of the receipts were going to be brought out.
What do you think of the job Democratic leaders are doing, not just Senate Democratic leaders, but also Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, your fellow New Yorker, in terms of standing up to Trump?
Well, when we look at this vote around this government funding bill that we saw this week, Leader Hakeem Jeffries was able to keep the entire House Democratic caucus united and together.
Except for Jared Golden.
Right.
Except
Every single House Democrat, including every single House Democrat who won a Trump district, except for one out of over 200, voted against this deeply partisan, extreme Republican spending bill. Not just because they're Democrats, but because they know it's bad for the country. This bill is bad for the country. And so I think that in terms of Democratic leadership in the House, we've seen that result in the House. I think it's time that we see similar results in the Senate.
All right, so like I said before, AOC most likely benefited the most from all of this hate on Schumer. You have the New York Post writing an article, Democrats push AOC to primary Schumer, furious over support of Republican spending bill. Now, is it ironic that AOC is in New York as well and would be running up against Schumer? Probably not. I mean, this is her opportunity to make it to the next level, which would be a senator. Now, one thing I want to point out, oh, by the way, Hakeem Jeffries also from New York, so this makes things rather interesting as well. One thing I want to point out is that Schumer, believe it or not, is considered a moderate in New York as far as his support outside of New York City. We have never seen how AOC can perform outside of her little jurisdiction of New York City and the New York area, but we'll see what happens. Can she beat Schumer? I don't know, because you have the whole land of New York who would have to vote for her, and I'm not seeing a bunch of the staunch Republicans in upstate New York really supporting AOC.
Who walked the plank and took innumerable risks in order to defend the American people, in order to defend Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, just to see Senate Democrats even consider acquiescing to Elon Musk. I think it is a huge slap in the face. We cannot afford to be in an every person for themselves kind of moment. We need to work together and as a team in order to usher our country through this very dark time.
Now look, I am sure a lot of people who watch my videos do not like AOC. I personally am not a fan of her and her policies. However, we need to be honest with ourselves here. This is not out of the question that AOC could potentially be in the Senate, considering you also have Bernie Sanders, doing some rallies with AOC, going around the country, because there's a push right now to do these town halls where Republicans are not doing town halls. So again, this really could set up the platform for AOC to enter into the Senate and then just stomp all over Schumer to be like, hey, Schumer was not united, but I'm going to be united.
The two party leaders on Capitol Hill have to stick together if they want to get anything done. And there are always disagreements, but you never air it like that, and especially not if you're from the same state. So that's an extraordinary move.
The same borough.
I mean, yes. Like basically, you don't really smack talk your own constituent, which is effectively what you saw there. So it also shows the pressure points on Hakeem Jeffries from his base. He is experiencing what Republicans have long had with a progressive base that doesn't see the value in his leadership. So he's trying to prove himself there. And then a Senate Majority Leader who understands the long game here. This is the smartest move I've seen out of Chuck Schumer in a long, long time. And the smart move is to not take the bait and be in a worse position at a future date. Take the heat now. Now, I wish he'd been smarter about that than what he said all week, was to say this is a terrible continuing resolution, that Joe Biden signed the same numbers and the same spending levels, but now it's unacceptable. I mean, it's a kind of insane sort of weird argument to make in trying to search for a fight with a president who will clearly really is just stewing for this. Like, bring it. This is such a winner for the president.
Yeah, Donald Trump would love to have a shutdown fight. Democrats have struggled to get their message since Donald Trump's come into office. The idea that they would suddenly get their footing and be able to articulate how, in fact, they were winning the shutdown and fighting for the American people up against the bully pulpit of Donald Trump, it just won't happen. And beyond that, OMB actually has significant jurisdiction over deciding what to keep open and what to shut down. The Trump administration would make Democrats feel the pain. They would.
Look, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Chuck Schumer. I am glad he did not shut the government down. But again, he's just being consistent with what he's always done or said as far as we have to keep the government open. There are so many receipts and so many videos circulating of all of these Democrats, being hypocrites. And I really do think Chuck Schumer is playing the long game. There is still some more time to go as far as Trump's administration, and the worst thing that could happen right now for Democrats is shutting down the government, because how now are they going to be able to defend themselves when they were all complaining that we need to keep it open to support government employees and make sure they're getting paid? So that is my opinion. You guys can leave your opinions down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, Christmas came early. The government is open. A lot of people are upset with Chuck Schumer. I feel bad for him, but at the end of the day, this is a worst case scenario for Democrats. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think AOC definitely benefited the most from this. God bless, and we'll see you guys later.